Hey, friends. It's good to see you today. I am actually doing this for two reasons. One, I'm practicing. I am practicing doing a live in my upstairs studio area where I can record my artwork as I work and I can also talk to you. So um, I am starting out today with a sketch. I decided to sketch this wonderful um, photograph that was shared, and I was given permission to draw it. And I'm really into patterns these days. I've really been um, fascinated with all the patterns that God puts into all the things that He's created. I like like the fingerprint of the human. The zebra actually has a unique print to it. Um, no two zebras have the same stripes. Did you know that? Just like we don't have the same fingerprints. And so you can't just draw a zebra, or in this case, a herd of zebras. I hope you can see that. It's a whole bunch of zebras. And you can't just draw them assuming you know where the stripes are. Now, of course, when I'm finished, if my stripes aren't exactly the way they are in the picture, it's not really going to matter, except that when I draw, even if I'm drawing it for the finished product, I still have in my mind that I'm practicing as well. So you might take a look at this like I did when I first saw it. I thought, wow, that would be really cool to sketch. But then you might think, it's a little overwhelming. So I have taken this apart in bite-sized pieces. So I have actually I measured this, and I drew a line halfway through the middle this way, and then a quarter of the way here and here. And I did the same here. I measured here, I divided this in half, and each half I divided in half. And then I went to my sketching pad, and I did the same thing. If you can see the lines there. So I was able to measure out proportionately to the photograph that I've printed, and I've been able to work with one square at a time. Now, mind you, one square at a time, in this case, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 zebras just in that top square. So it isn't as though you're going to sketch one zebra at a time. We're sketching what is in the square. And the way that I sketch when I do this with the squares is a lot like I have to do with things in life as well. Sometimes looking at a project, like I need to do my garage, which it's too cold to do right now. And I'm so thankful because it's a big project and it can seem overwhelming. And you've heard the phrase, of course, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It's the same with sketching. How do you sketch an entire herd of zebra? So the way you do it is one square at a time. So I wanted to show you just some simple tools that I use when I'm sketching. One, I just use simple, basic, cheap little old Pentels that you get in the stationery store. This is a Paper Mate. I've got a couple of other brands. I actually have dozens of these around the house because I love to use them to sketch. They're a great way to do your first area of sketching. And then I have this lovely eraser. I love these erasers. This is actually an eraser pencil. And what I love about it is that you can sharpen it to a really, really fine point. And then when you have to erase a small area, it is really, really easy to just get the tiniest places to erase without erasing your whole drawing. Now, I do have this gummy eraser. So when I need to erase a large area, like I realized when I was doing this square up here at the top, I was getting I was off. So when I start a square, I will look at my picture and say, okay, that particular zebra starts about a third of the way, his forehead about a third of the way into my square. So I will start about a third of the way into my square and start. But when I first did this, I was off a little and I needed to correct it. So in a case when I have a big area to erase, I will use my big square eraser here, and it does a wonderful job at clearing your sketch paper and making it nice and white. Now there's also a reason why I'm starting up in the upper left hand corner. And if you look carefully, you can see one zebra right here. There's another zebra that I've started. He's going into the next square. He's got a little area where his back bends, and then also the back of the bones turn where the light is hitting it as it goes up. So I wanted to be sure to get that. And also this one behind him has an area where the light is hitting him just so. And then back here, this guy here is very shadowed. Now, I also love to use these blending pencils. I love them. What I love about them is when I want something to have the image that it's round, I want to give a two-dimensional image. You'll see here on this guy, when I shadowed underneath his jawline, I actually took my pencil in the direction of the shadow. And I've done that for a reason. Because for some reason, when we blend it out, even though you can't see the lines, you don't want to see the lines on shadows because shadows don't have lines unless there's something that is creating the line. A shadow is just where the light is being, where an object is preventing the light from hitting the surface, right? So it's not really lines that creates the shadow, but the lines are how I get the color of the shadow and then blend it out. And there's something about actually blending it into the direction that the shadow lands that actually gives it that two-dimensional look. Now, I think I went a little dark here, and that's okay because I can take my eraser and I can come back in here and I can lighten it up a little bit so that you can see the difference between the shadows and the stripes on the zebra. Now, one of the reasons why I started up here in the top left corner is because I'm right-handed. And I found that when I would start over here, which is what I used to do when I first started, before you know it, I was smudging everything all over the place as I was working. So I start on the left side so that my arm is always behind the work I'm doing. So I will come back and do more of my squares of zebras. I want you to see the progress as I go along, but I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. One, because I'm practicing on this platform that I'm using for my video. Two, which has nothing to do with art, right? But two, I want you to see a couple of things. One, everyone has a creative talent, okay? And I cringe when I hear people say there's nothing creative in me. I don't have a creative bone in my body, and it isn't true. And the reason I say that it's not true is because we're all made in the image of God, and God is so creative. I mean, it's unbelievable how creative God is, even that he could make a gazillion zebras, right? And every single one of them has a different stripe, a unique stripe like a fingerprint or a snowflake. And that's pretty creative. So God is very creative. We're made in his image. Everyone has creativity of some kind. One of the reasons why we think we can't create things is because we have it in our head we can't, just like I did as a child. I wanted so badly to be an artist like my grandmother. And what I realized as I grew older is that if I just continued to practice, I could draw more and more like my grandmother every day. So I do believe maybe not everyone wants to draw, but drawing is a great place to start in recognizing that this creative side of your brain and this creative side of your personality, and allowing it to come to life. And that is one of the ways that I personally have discovered parts of me that I never really knew before. And that's kind of fun. And I believe that I have I have taught art lessons, I've taught painting lessons, and it has been really fun seeing people who didn't think they had any talent but just came for the fun of it, and now are actually commissioned to paint pet portraits and some other things. And it's been really fun to see that, in fact, with a little practice and a couple of steps, you could actually take on some art of your own. So I'll be back with some more of my zebra squares, but I wanted you to see that if you take art in a square at a time, in one small thing at a time, and practice that, and I mean, goodness, there are so many videos out there that you can watch that are short, that you can watch that help you. And maybe there are artists out there that don't sketch like I do, and that's okay. This is how I've taught myself to sketch, and it has been a great way for me to see more detail in small areas and work on a small area at a time, and then add to my piece as I go along. So this is probably going to be one of the most challenging sketches that I've ever done, but certainly fun, and really, in a way, no different than any other sketch that I've done when I do it this way, because I'm just working with one small square at a time. And we can do life like that as well and not be overwhelmed. So several lessons in there, lessons of life, lessons of art, and thought that would be of interest to you. So I hope you all have a great day, and I'll be back with the rest of my drawing at another time this week. All right, bye-bye.